ko Linda McGregor taku ingoa, and I'd like to welcome you all to this evening's It's in the Ballot. Now, I just have to mihi out to Sam Summers, who is the creator of this incredible program. It is about giving everybody their voice, so we've got these amazing candidates here this evening. Ko Taranaki te maunga, ko Wanganui a Tara tuku moana, ko te awa kairangi te awa, ko Aotearoa Waka, ko Te Ati Awa te iwi, ko Te Tau Aotearoa te marae, ko Linda McGregor taku ingoa. 2023 is a special year for wahine women and girls in Aotearoa. It is the mark of 130th anniversary of the enduring legacy of women's suffrage. When the Electoral Act was signed into law on the 19th of September 1893, Aotearoa, New Zealand became the first self-governing country to enshrine the law of the rights for women to vote. And today is Suffrage Day. It is my pleasure to bring the candidates for Hutt South here this evening to be able to answer some questions and to be empower you to make up your mind about who you would like to vote for in this election in 2023. And as I'm now going to move to introducing our candidates for this evening, but I think first of all, let's introduce our candidates who unfortunately were unable to make this, this event. And so they are here. And I'd also like to start introducing our candidates. Actually, if you'd just like to introduce yourselves. If we want to start, yes, start with you.
Kia ora koutou, ko Quentin Duthie tōku ingoa. I'm here representing Nilu Jennings, the Green Party candidate for Hutt South and the Green Party this evening.
Kia ora koutou, I'm Ben Wiley Van Eerd, your Hutt South representative for the Opportunities Party.
Kia ora whānau, ko Maxirangi Tutia tāku ingoa, here representing Vision and the Freedoms NZ Party.
Kia ora, and thank you so much. So if you don't know how the format of the show works, it's in the ballot. It's very similar to that fantastic show in the 1970s and early 80s, which is It's in the Bag. So each candidate will have a choice of choosing a bag, and that is going to be picked up, and the questions will be asked by our fantastic host this evening, which is Jill. Jill, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Kia ora, my name is Jill, and I have actually just jumped into this post because the other person couldn't make it. So this is the first time I've done this, but I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you're looking fabulous, Jill, and you will be absolutely fabulous this evening. So the way the format works is that each candidate will have the opportunity to pick a number, and in that number will be a question. And then they will have 1 minute to be able to answer that question. And then when we go through our candidates and we answer a couple of questions, we'll have a little break, and then we're going to have 2 hard-hitting questions that we will be asking each candidate this evening. Now, I've also got Sammy here, who is our normal host, but he has asked me to co-host for him tonight, well, host actually, And so whenever I have any questions, I think I'm going to have to ask Sam. But here's a man that is wearing very many hats this evening. But I think we would like to first start with an opening address. So for each candidate who is here this evening, if you would like to introduce yourselves and what your party is and what they stand for. And we have, is it 1 minute? 1 minute. So you're going to make the most out of that 1 minute, you fantastic human beings. So, eeny, meeny, miny, who would like to start? Let's start from the centre there.
Thank you very much. So, as I said earlier, I'm Dr. Ben Wiley Van Eerd, and when I was a boy, my parents promised something to me. They said, son, be good. Brush your teeth every day, play nice with your sister, stay in school, and you're going to be all right. You'll find a job, you'll work hard, and you will earn enough money to be able to afford a place to live, to raise a family of your own, and to save for your retirement. The reason I'm standing for Parliament here before you today, when I have kids of my own, I want to make that same promise to them. But I can't, because right now in New Zealand, none of that is true. We have built a country where in order for a young person to earn enough money to pay for those very basics of life, they have to be truly exceptional. And that is a really scary place for us to be as a country. We've had decades of governments led by Labour and led by National, and they're the parties that have brought us here. We need to start voting differently this election to get us out of this. So vote for me and vote for the Opportunities Party. Thank you very much.
Yeah, ho mai paki. And if you, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you.
Kia ora. My name's Councillor Quentin Duthie. I'm a Green Party Regional Councillor here in Lower Hutt, but here I'm not representing the council or myself as councillor, of course. I'm here to speak on behalf of Nilu Jennings, the Hutt South Green Party candidate, and the Green Party. The Greens are focused on taking bold action on climate change, protecting nature and rebalancing wealth, so that everyone in Aotearoa, New Zealand can live a good life. Right now, many people are struggling to put kai on the table, the health and education systems are straining, and the environment is in crisis. The Greens have achieved a lot over the decades, but the pace of change is just too slow. We can, in this country, have healthy housing and decent incomes for everyone. We can have a thriving environment and clean transport options. We can make healthcare accessible, including free dental care for everyone, and we can invest in our education system. We can pay for these things too if we create a fairer tax system. The time is now. Green.
Ho mai paki.
Kia ora. It's on you. Kia ora. So as I mentioned earlier, ko Makirangi Tuti Taku Ingoa. So been here in the hut for the last 5-6 years nearly now, and love the hut. Love everything that represents the hut, the people in the hut, and the hut in general. So why am I here? I'm here to just represent this area, Hutt City, for Freedoms NZ, for party vote, and for Vision. One of the things that I've really gone to know about here in the hut is that the people don't necessarily know what's going on up in that concrete jungle. And so what I've decided to do is that to take the meaning of change. Without change, you need change. So that's our big push here for Vision and for Freedoms NZ, is to make sure that we have the right change and the right people in the right roles doing the right job. So that's us, Freedoms NZ, party vote Freedoms NZ.
Ho mai paki. Thank you so much. So we're going to take a moment now to go to a small clip about our electorate, so you know exactly where you are and all the people that are involved in there, which is going to be represented by our candidates as well. So, thank you.
So let's find out where the Hutt South Electorate voters are. Starting from the south, the Hutt South Electorate starts on the coast, where the Ongaronga River feeds into the sea. Heading north includes the coastal communities of Eastbourne, Days Bay, Mahina Bay, York Bay and Lowry Bay. And over the hills to Wainuiomata, one of Lower Hutt's biggest suburbs. Crossing over the hill, you'll enter Lower Hutt City, which also includes Petone, Woburn, Fairfield, Bulcott, parts of Nainai, Normandale, Mangaraki. Continuing west also includes the suburbs of Belmont and Kelson, with the electoral boundary running down Lower Hutt's famous KGB, also known as the Kennedy Goods Bridge. So you're probably wondering what Hutt South is famous for. Well, it is known as the city of roundabouts and the motorway of traffic lights.
So this evening, we've got a couple of questions that we think that you're going to be asking after this evening's show. The first question, will you be able to afford to spend $300 a week on childcare to get the maximum childcare rebate in a cost of living crisis? Question number 2, is it time for the EQC to expand its scope to include climate change disaster cover? And question number 3, if no cause rental terminations are reinstated in 2026, will Hutt South residents have to worry about being evicted for allowing a campaigning politician to use the bathroom in their house if their landlord finds out and does not like that politician? Okay, so questions to think about, people. So now we are going to ask our It's in the Bag questions. So each candidate, you can ask our Tina Kabushie over there, Jill, a number between number 1 and 28. And within those boxes, there will be a question that you will have 1 minute to answer. We also have 2 cards. So we have a button card. Where's the button card? Somebody want to show that to me? And so the button card means that the candidate who pulls that, they've only got 2, will be able to also respond to that question. And the second card they have is a defer card. So they might not want to answer that question, so then they can defer it to one of their colleagues. Are you ready there, Joel? Excellent. Now, I think what we're going to do is we'll start with yourself, and then we'll just go through there, and then we'll come back again. And if you would just like to any number between number 1 and 28.
Takau mā toru, please.
Could you translate
13.
that, please? 13.
Put my glasses on for this. Very important.
So the question is, do you think that transgender females should be able to compete in women's sports? It is letter Y.
Shall I answer the question asked or the one on the screen?
Okay, I think what we're going to do is just ask that question again, Jill.
will
And I
do.
think we'll ask the question that's sitting
Yes,
on there, my love.
That's actually in the box. Do you think that transgender females should be able to compete in women's sports?
So answering on my own behalf, I don't have a problem with that. I think the principles are to welcome diversity in society and to promote inclusion.
Thank you. Okay, and if we'd just like to go to our next candidate, if you'd like to pick a number from 1 to 28 minus 13.
Kia ora. I will start with number 1.
We'll try it again. So it's number L. What is your party's stance on central bank digital currency? Will your party support removing cash from being used in New Zealand?
Right. So first of all, no support from our party from removing cash from being used in New Zealand. And regarding a central bank digital currency, I really don't think we have enough information out there to be able to make any kind of call on it right now. I've had a few people try and explain to me what a central bank digital currency is, and none of them so far have been able to explain to me what's different about having a number of dollars in a bank account and using a card to access it. So I can't give you any more on that, but strong support for cash being maintained in New Zealand and still being legal tender.
Great, thank you so much. And our final candidate.
That's question K. So, Max, with the downturn in the economy, many small businesses are struggling to stay afloat. Has your party got any policies that would assist them through these tough times?
Yeah, we do actually. So thanks for that question. Yep. So we've just released an SME policy, which is for small to medium enterprises. And the biggest thing that comes out of that is the taxation and GST across it, which is that in your first 12 months, there's no tax. And then the second month is 10%. Second year is the 10%, third year 15%, and then the fourth year at 20%. So that helps put more money into these startups that get starting into business, but also help the struggling small to medium sized business get some capital together and function correctly. So what I love about that is, because I'm also a business owner, is that sometimes you work hard, you employ a lot of people, you do a lot of things, and you necessarily don't have the money back in your bank that you should have. And so I think this is a great way to do it, and it's just got released. And so, we've got that covered.
Sorry, I'm being cheeky sticking in here. For GST claimbacks, will that still be at the full percentage rate or at the reduced percentage rate? As you know, as a business owner, you claim back the GST. Will that be still at the full rate or a reduced rate over that period to match in line with what the sales are?
It'll be, from what I understand, I haven't read it in too much detail, but if I was the business owner doing it, it would be at that reduced rate.
Oh, no, that's
good.
Hey, look, Sammy, feel free to butt in at any time, because I'm a pretty much a newbie here. This is my first time. This is my first radio. Okay, so I think what we're going to do again, let's take our middle candidate. And the reason why I'm not saying your names, darling, is I've got a little old lady brain. Okay?
Not a problem.
I'm
Jill,
gonna
can I
set stage my
please
life.
have number 12?
Question T, and that is, do you think New Zealand should investigate having an independent commissioner against corruption like New South Wales?
Right. Answering the question that's asked, I definitely agree with this. Our party has just put out some reasonably strong policies around local government and parliamentary reform. And one of the big things we've been pushing for is this position of an independent commissioner into corruption. At the moment, it's a little bit like the foxes in charge of the hen house. It really just makes sense to separate those powers so that you've got a nice independent body to conduct those kind of corruption investigations. Pretty simple, we reckon.
Okay. Sorry, darling, can you just say that again? Sorry, I just didn't quite catch your position again. Sorry.
Oh, well, the short position is yes, we think that there should be an independent corruption commissioner.
Oh, excellent. Okay, thank you so much. Right. And candidate, sorry, darling, I'm pointing here. I don't know if you can see me, but old lady brain, I haven't got my glasses on. Darling, what question have you got?
Number 2, please, Rua.
That's question P. In your opinion, should councils be forced by the Ministry of Health to fluoridate their water supplies?
So fluoridation is a public health measure that benefits all New Zealanders, and it needs to be mandated and regulated at the national level. The benefits are wide-ranging and make a big difference to the public health of New Zealanders, and at no negative impacts. So it is, yes. So the regulation of fluoridation of the public water supply should be done at national level.
Great, thank you so much. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to get, now I know Max because my son's name's Max, so that's why I'm kind of
What a
thinking,
good
that's
name.
why it's in my brain, it's Max. So Max, if you'd like to pick your question.
Rima, 5.
Very confusing.
Oh.
It's a different question.
No, is it?
I think what you do, darling, if you've already seen that question on the screen, why don't you just ask that question there?
Answer that question.
No, is the short answer to that. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say to that.
Okay, so the question was, in your opinion, should mainstream media be funded by taxpayers? How about, because we've got a little bit of time, how about each candidate answer that question? Because, you know, the short was no. What about, yeah.
They haven't used any button cards yet either.
Would you like
Are we going to this? Okay. I guess this is a quick fire round now. There's definitely something that needs to be looked at in terms of the future of the whole media industry, the way things have gone with like the internet and rapid content creation, how we can support journalists to actually be paid for the work they do is definitely a big piece of work. I don't know the answer to that yet. In the meantime, I'm comfortable with things continuing on as they are. I would encourage there to be some piece of work done in this space.
Okay.
So New Zealanders get a lot of benefit from our public broadcasters like Radio New Zealand, like Māori Television, and they include news programs. What's crucial is that there is editorial independence of news and journalism that is separate to whatever it's funded from, because wherever the funding comes from for a media outlet, it could become captured by or be biased towards that funding. So the editorial independence of media is the crucial aspect.
That's a really good answer, all three of you. Thank you so much. So we're now going to go to another question. Jill, would you like to pick the candidate? Who would you like to answer us?
The next question?
Yeah.
To pick one?
Yeah.
I'll pick Quentin.
Number 14, please. Te Kaumā Whā. It's staring at me.
So looks like we're out of touch, sorry, with the question. So I will read this question. In your opinion, Quentin, what is the main issue that New Zealand is currently facing?
It's a big question. I think the main issue, thinking big picture for this country, Aotearoa New Zealand, is how we move ahead in a way that is fair to all residents of this country, that protects the environment that is so important to this country and to all of us, that responds to the challenges of climate change, both the need to reduce emissions and also the need to prepare for the changes of extreme weather that will be impacts of climate change, and how to go about doing this and investing in the right things to build a country that we can all be proud of and all participate in and live with dignity and respect. Now, that's a big answer for a big question. It's not necessarily the top issue on everyone's mind at every moment, but it's the sort of what does the future of Aotearoa look like that is fair, that is clean, and that honours Te Tiriti o Waitangi as well. Those questions are behind the other issues. Kia ora.
Thank you so much. And what I thought we'd do is we'd answer the same, each candidate can answer the same question, because I think it's actually a really big question and it'd be really good. So
Ben.
Ben.
Sorry, just got tangled up in my microphone cord there. Easy answer for me, cost of housing. Number one issue that we face in this country. I think almost before you get to all the other issues, you need to sort out the cost of housing for people, because people who are under stressed housing conditions, especially people who have to move often because they don't have secure tenancies, they're not in a good position to set themselves up to deal with things like climate change, to deal with things like social cohesion and all the other issues that we face as a country. The people of New Zealand aren't in a position to deal with them until they've got stable, secure, affordable housing. Absolute most important thing we can do. And I'll just get in a little dig here at our major two parties here, because I really, really, truly do not believe that they are doing enough to get us to a point where housing is affordable in New Zealand. And we need to get to that space. So I encourage you, obviously vote Top, but vote for any of the minor parties. Make sure that the big parties know we're not happy with the way that New Zealand is right now. Make them fight for your vote. Make them work for it.
Kia ora, awesome.
Yeah, kia ora. Here's probably it is a big question. The first thing that sits on my heart and on my mind is families. Families is a key one, and this current government that's pretty much stripped down and torn apart a lot of families over the last kind of 3 to 4 years is made a huge impact on society. And so I think that's the first thing, because if you heal the families, then you create a great environment, and then you go there to actually improve the nation. So it's really critical that we get these families right. With families, it's like Ben was saying, is we've got to have good homes, and with homes and good families, you then got to be safe. And so we think law and order and our law and order policy with Freedoms NZ is making sure that everyone is safe. And yeah, that's our, I know it's a bit long-winded, but covering a lot. Good question.
I will ask Max. I'm not going to use the system. I'll just read it the old-fashioned way. Okay. So Max, what would you do to financially assist local government to fix the pipes and infrastructure?
Man, they're big questions, aren't they? Pipes and infrastructure. So that, again, is part of another bigger picture. It's not just about fixing pipes and infrastructure in our local council, but it's also making sure that our agency like Waka Kotahi are on board, because it's a massive, you fix one thing, it then bottlenecks to something bigger. So it's the overall view of everything. And I think that what we've got to do is, like we were saying earlier, is have someone review and commission to maybe review and audit everything that we've got going first before we start lashing out billions and billions and billions of dollars on extra walkways and other bits and pieces. So just to make sure that while those things are important, like the infrastructure, is how does it sit across the whole picture? I think that's the first thing that we should do before we start just giving out more billions of dollars to more people.
I'll just use my butt-in card if I can. Somebody's got to be the first one, right? Just because I want to speak on this topic, because I think it's of such critical importance. Like I said, I think housing is the most important issue facing the country, and local government funding is a crucial part of getting housing right. Because right now, if a local government doesn't agree to let you build something, you don't get to build something. So they have to be involved in the housing decisions, and right now they don't have the funding to make those infrastructure investments that they need to support more housing being built. So Top would propose to give the GST component of all new build houses directly to local governments, bypassing central government. This does two things. It gives local governments more money so that they can build pipes, they can build roads, they can build infrastructure. And it just means that they are rewarded for actually growing the housing stock in their areas. So one of the key elements of housing there.
I'm going to play a button card as well.
Thank you,
if I
Quentin.
may. So just to highlight a small but important success or achievement in this regard. So it's long been Green policy to have an international visitor levy for conservation and tourism purposes. And that was introduced by the government a few years ago now. And it has, especially for some of those rural councils that really struggle to provide infrastructure, like even just like public toilets on walking tracks and that sort of thing, the Department of Conservation looking after our nature, it has provided a revenue source. It's a very small amount at the border for visitors, and it provides a revenue source that enables councils and the Department of Conservation, especially in our regions, to do things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to afford to do. So it is Green policy to government to provide those tools to allow councils to improve infrastructure. That's just a small example. There are much bigger, more expensive items like three waters, the stormwater, wastewater, and drinking water, but I won't comment on those now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we've got time for one more question.
Okay.
And then we will end, and then we will go to little highlights of our previous show, and then we'll have a break, and then we're going to come back with our hard-hitting questions.
I'll pick Ben. Would you like to ask a question?
Thank you. Yes.
Choose a
Can I
box.
have 25? Te Kauma Rima.
So this question, Ben, is, will you abolish the sexualisation education in the primary school education curriculum? Yes or no, and why?
I'm not aware of any sexualisation in the education in the New Zealand curriculum. I don't think we have something like that in this country. And I don't know how to then answer that question. Children in schools shouldn't be sexualized, and indeed, I believe that they are not being sexualized in our schools, then that's appropriate.
Well, in 2020, there was the relationships and sexuality education. Oh, we've got a button. So
Okay.
who knows a bit about
We've got
it?
one each now. Yeah, this is a great topic, and it's one that sits also with our families policy and whakamana hapu, and RSE definitely has put in some of the sexualization of our children into the schooling and into the education. It's slowly coming in thick and fast, and unbeknown to a lot of parents, this stuff is pretty wild. So it's worth investigating and worth having a look. I was just recently at a talk where this topic came up, and it was I was there to as a candidate to represent and to talk about this stuff. And it's surprising how many people were in that room that didn't realize the stuff that is actually being presented to year 1 up to year 5, and then past that obviously into intermediate and high school. So yeah, definitely we would change that and flip that on its head. It's something that does need investigation.
Okay, thank you so much. Any buttons? Any? No? Okay, rightio. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a break, then we're going to come back. We've got some hard-hitting questions, but before we do, if you'd like to see some of our highlights from our previous show. Okay, well, it's the break at home, darlings, and then we'll see our highlight show from our mana show. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Go and get a cup of tea.
Mike, Pete, join us here on Wednesday the 20th. Celia, Simon, Karen, Mike, Pete. Join us here on Wednesday the 20th September at 7 p.m. for the It's in the Ballot Wairarapa Electorate Show. Join us here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and watch us live at www.itsintheballot.nz. See you then. Let's take a look back down memory lane and see what happened on the Mana Electorate show.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight, these are your Mana candidates on why they should be standing to get your electoral vote for the next 3 years. But with every election, there's one thing stepping away, and that's your vote.
And you're probably wondering how the reveal went.
These are the candidates' faces you'll see, and one by one, we'll peel them, and you can find out who's here and who's not. So, Gina, would you like to reveal yourself, please? And you've got your microphone down there if you want to say hello.
Kia ora.
Okay, Kush.
Kia ora, welcome, namaste. I'm Kush Bhargav.
Okay, Andy.
Kia ora, I'm Andy Foster.
Did that go through on the string? I hope it did. Okay, Lily.
Ta-da! It's not Lily. I'm standing in for Lily Brown, the ACT candidate for Mana. My name is Sean Rush.
Okay, let's reveal Barbara.
Hello, I'm not Barbara. Just standing in for.
And you're not standing, and she didn't nominate a stand-in. Okay, and next up, Francis.
And I'm not Francis, and she didn't nominate a stand-in.
Okay, and so this will be the trick that will happen every single time when candidates do not come in there. We will leave a reminder on stage of a picture on the screen. So, and Jill's having the fun job of putting them all in. So, thank you for joining us here tonight.
To watch the Mana Electorate show again, head to our website at www.itsintheballot.nz and click on Mana Electorate. Tim, Ali, Sean, Teresa. Join us at 7 p.m. Thursday, the 21st of September for the It's in the Ballot Otaki Electorate Show. Join us here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and watch us live at www.itsintheballot.nz. See you then.
Okay, and the questions we think you'll be asking after watching tonight's show, let's bring them up on screen. Now, will this election come down to parties' choices on free dental care and whether or not there should be an age for the cutoff? Will EV car chargers be installed halfway up Transmission Gully to help combat EV cars running out of juice on the steep incline, steeper than fell incline, climbing up the Wainui Settle? And how many meet the candidates are too many meet the candidates in the month of September? Is it 5, 10, 20? Or should we say, I think one candidate's here done over 30 before in the past. So those are the questions we think you'll be asking after watching tonight's show. So
Karuna, Julianne, Bruce, Claire, Marina, Jeff, Adam, Nicole, Don. Join us at 4 p.m. Friday, the 22nd of October for It's in the Ballot Rongotai Electorate. Join us here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and watch us live at www.itsintheballot.nz. See you then.
audio. Okay. Well, what I said before, I hope we've had a cup of tea. We're there nice and comfortable in front of your television or your laptop or your trusty little phone. Okay. Now we're going to the second section of tonight, which is going to be our hard-hitting questions. Welcome back, everybody. So we're going into the second half of It's in the Ballot, where we're going to be asking our candidates the hard-hitting questions. But before we do that, I would just like to mihi out to the production team for this evening. This is a local, well, actually now it's going to be a national run initiative. This is a not-for-profit. Everybody here is doing this on a volunteer basis, and it's giving the opportunity for all parties to be able to come to one place and actually be able to talk about what is important to them. So that enables you as a voter to say that I either align or I don't align with those parties, and it gives you that freedom of choice. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for everybody who's part of this production crew. They're going to be going national this year, which is absolutely fantastic. And also like to say a special thanks to Sam Summers. And this is an idea, it's his creation. So thank you so much. And then secondly, I'd like to thank the candidates. Now, this is one of the hardest things that you will ever do, apart from childbirth. Can I just say that? Oh, yeah, maybe not. And just to put yourself out there, and to be quite vulnerable in a space where everybody has an opinion. So the fact that you're here tonight, the fact that you have been asked questions and you're answering and you're genuine in what you believe in. So I'd like to just mihi to you as well. So thank you so much. And now we're going into our hard-hitting questions. Sammy, what do we do with our hard-hitting questions, my love? Hard-hitting questions. So, Sam, can you just come back over here and just explain how the hard-hitting question round works?
So hard-hitting questions are where they are topical issues of the community, and we get every candidate to give their answer on hard-hitting questions. So we have two hard-hitting questions per show, and then, well, as we know, the third one is the private members bill question. So let's kick off with hard-hitting question number one, and I'll get back to the control desk.
Thank you so much, Sammy. Look, hard-hitting question one, and what we'll do is each candidate will have the opportunity to be able to answer that. Do they have the opportunity? Can they defer those questions, Sam?
No, they can't.
No, so no deferrals, mate. So what we ask you, you have to answer. Okay, right, hard-hitting question. What is your party's policy for funding the Cross Valley Link project as a national state highway? Okay, let's go to the closest to me, the Green Party.
Kia ora. The Greens will ensure that transport investment leads to a low carbon and equitable Aotearoa New Zealand. Traditionally, this country has prioritised roads and cars and trucks over all other modes of transport. Yet for many, car dependency is an unwanted burden and partly due to a lack of accessible, convenient, safe and affordable alternatives. We need to reverse that by prioritising investment in buses and trains and ferries, walking and cycling, as well as electric vehicles and safer roads. Will the Cross Valley Link project drive mode shift and lower emissions? Will it improve safety and promote resilience? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But the Greens will prioritise projects that do these things for a lower Hutt that is easier to get around and is good for the planet.
Can I also ask you a follow-up question for that? and we talk about sustainability and we talk about getting people into alternate types of transportation. What about businesses that need to use their own transportation, whether it be their cars or vans or large trucks?
So there'll be many purposes for transporting people and goods that do need roads and vehicles and trucks and vans and so on. In order to, so that's partly investing in electric versions of those will lower emissions from that use. But the more people that can get around by other means, walking, cycling, bus or the train, that both is good for the planet, but also reduces the congestion on the roads for those who do need to use the roads to get around. So it's a mix of, it's optimizing the mix of all of them and moving it towards a zero carbon future.
Okay, thank you so much. And then we're now going to go to Ben.
Kia ora. I've had a look at the Cross Valley Link. The last time I've seen a business case put forwards for it was right at the end of 2020. So that was after COVID. It is a little bit before some of our big inflation years. However, at the time, benefit cost ratio for that project was sitting at about 3.5, which is a fairly reasonable benefit cost ratio. We might need to have a look at those numbers again just to make sure that nothing has changed after a couple of years of high inflation. But based on those numbers, they seem like something that it would be reasonable to support. Whether it's funded as a national highway or not, it's a sort of an interesting question. I guess one of the key aspects of this is, does the central government put in money for this, or is it funded by the local government? And I think reasonable people can disagree on which of those two modes is going to be better for it. In a general sense, the Opportunities Party would like to see councils around the country put together 30-year infrastructure plans and then have those sort of priority benefit cost ratio basis.
Thank you so much, Ben. And Max?
Yeah, that's a good question. I live in Petone, and so the Esplanade is jammed, and it is. I just wonder how many trucks. And when I bike from there into town, and I see the amount of people that one passenger in each one of those cars, all the way back to the bridge, the CV bridge, it astonishes me. So, yep, I think to what the rest of the parties were saying, definitely we need some tighter governance and control over it. I think it'll be a great thing to put in. It is just how we do it and making sure that the benefits and the purposes from it come back to the community, because to increase people to get from A to B comes at not just the cost of the roads and the infrastructure, whether it's a State Highway 1, 2, or an RCA cost. It all was going to help everybody to get between Petone and into the community. So.
Thank you so much. That's thank you. That was great answers to that question. And I'm kind of, if I go back to our Green Party, around as a business, we need transportation. So we are in a supply chain, and so we need goods and services to be, delivered across the motu. And as businesses, we are trying to find cleaner ways of being able to transport that. And so that was really good. So thank you so much. So we're now at hard-hitting question 2. And what I'm going to do, Max, I'll start with you, and then we can go back there. So we have equity or equality. So everybody's asking the same question. Right, hard-hitting question 2. This is a good one. What is the most pressing issue in the Hutt South Electorate currently?
That is a good question. The thing I hear the most of at the minute is a lot to do with youth offending. I see a lot of that. A lot of that's happening at the minute, and our policies with Freedoms NZ really deal with the youth, because through a program running Man Up, it has helped dealing with the men at the home and the youth and the family. Again, circling back to the families. And so that's one aspect, I think, is the top thing that we want to pay attention to. And secondly is the housing. We've got to put people in houses. So how do we do that? And then on the flow, that is the cost of living. So it's quite a big question, can cover a lot of things. But the most thing that comes to mind is this the youth offending around the Hutt himself, I think is pretty big. We can put all the nice roads and all the nice houses, but if people aren't safe out there, it's going to get pretty bad if we don't do something about it. So we're here to do that.
Thank you very much. Ben.
Kia ora. Well, I think I've already answered this question maybe twice tonight, but I'm going to stick to it because I'm really passionate about it. It's housing. Housing is the biggest issue in every electorate around the country, and Hutt South is no exception. I've already talked about, I've got a little bit of a minute left, so I might as well give some more detail about what TOP would do in this space. I've already talked about the local council funding aspect of it. Another aspect that's really important is the taxation of land. So we seem to come back to this every 3 or 4 years as a country. We're like, oh my gosh, should we have a capital gains tax? The cost of housing is really, really high, and then we just back off from it. We need to actually get down and do something about it. TOP is proposing a land value tax. It's just sort of the cleanest way we can address this. So that collects some number of billions of dollars worth of revenue, and we're proposing to give that back via a $12,000 tax-free bracket. So tax cut for your income, tax raise on your house, and that'll help more housing get.
Thank you so much, Ben and Quinton.
Thank you. So the cost of living is a big burden on Lower Hutt at the moment. Most people are struggling with that, but some families are really struggling with that. Even just to pay the rent or the mortgage to put food on the table. But at the same time, and just consulting some facts here, there's a tiny group of just 311 families in this country who own more wealth than nearly half the population put together. And yet they pay less than half the effective tax rate of a nurse. And that is just unreasonable and unfair. So the Green Party proposes an income guarantee so everyone has enough to meet their needs and paid for by a fairer tax system that includes a wealth tax and an excess corporate profits tax. Longer term, the issue facing the Hutt is climate change. That deeper and wider response is needed.
Thank you so much, Quinton. Now we've got one more hard-hitting question, and I think this is a really, really interesting question as well. So, if elected, either as on the party vote or as as a member of member of parliament and representing your electorate, what would be your first private members bill? So each candidate has up to 2 minutes to answer this question, and this is actually a really cool question. So I think we're going to start with you, Quinton.
Well, I can't really answer this on behalf of myself because I'm not actually standing for election at this general election. However, I do have experience with members' bills having worked in Parliament. So representing Nilu, I believe that Nilu would be very keen on putting forward a disability-focused members' bill. I believe there are about 20 acts of Parliament that regulate and guide the laws around disability, and I believe that Nilu would want to formulate a members' bill on disability that tied that together, that integrated the needs of the disabled community, and made our laws and our policy much more effective for that community. So I won't add my own members' bill in there because I'm not actually standing for election.
Well, I think you've represented your whānau really well there, so thank you so much. Ben.
So you might have learned about me over the course of today that I'm really passionate about housing. So one thing that I think a private members bill in this space could really help is just the conditions that renters have to face. renters don't have a lot of choice in this country. There are rules about what a standard of healthy homes should be, and landlords have to adhere to those. But it's very, very difficult for tenants who are in tenancies that might not be up to standard to get any kind of results on that. The onus is on them at the moment to go out to the tenancy tribunal, lodge a complaint, and then they possibly have to face a court process, which they may or may not win, and they have faced the prospect of being on a tenancy blacklist, which will make it more difficult for them to get into new properties. This is an unworkable situation, frankly. So I think one thing a private member's bill could really improve is mandating councils to run a rental property inspection service, which is not coming from the tenants. It's just coming from the councils themselves. They're going to go around, they're going to check the tenancies are up to scratch so that the renters don't have to be the ones pushing that forwards themselves.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I was writing it down, but I'd like to ask, is it time to make those tax deductions landlords get tied to a current warrant of fitness or certificate of fitness?
So which tax deduction, sorry?
Maintenance, repairs.
Right, these kinds of things.
Stuff.
Well, I think the problem in this space is not so much where the rule is, but how the enforcement is done. So again, I think having an independent body that can go and check those things rather than forcing tenants to report them on their own is going to help there. That would be my first step. I guess if we still don't see enough action, maybe we can look at making financial consequences as well, but making sure that tenants are not put in that horrible position is my main focus there. Thanks, Sam.
And Max?
Yeah, I'd like to, for our members' bill would be to get a men's members group almost into there that can actually hold other men to account. Why I say that is because when we deal with men in the prisons and through our Man Up organisation, we try to get into the prisons to help reform these men to be better fathers and to come home and to better their homes. Again, coming back to the family, you heal the man, you heal the home, and you heal a community, then you can heal a nation. So I'd really push for that, to get a men's group that can actually almost stand up to a men's minister. We have minister for everything, minister for women, minister for everything you can imagine, but to having a minister for men, I think is one of the ones that we'd probably push hard on.
Thank you so much. So in summary, we've got a private members bill, which is about making accountability for our tāne. We are looking at a private members bill, which is about sustainable renting and about ensuring that we have safe spaces for tenancies. Yeah, so we're looking at affordable housing, we're looking at safe, we're looking at ensuring that there is a national standard that's upheld for there. And then we have a private members bill, which is about disability and about the voice of people within that sector and also their rights. So I think those are three really interesting private members bills that would come through if you were elected to central government, big G.
Big G.
A, big G, AG. Okay, so we're coming to the part of the evening where each of our candidates can have your closing statements. So again, a big mihi to everyone that has here tonight. I think you've done a fantastic job. And if we would, so we have 1 minute for your closing statement. And okay, first one to stand up. No, jokes. Okay, let's start with Ben.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your invitation to be on this show, and thank you to you viewers as well, whether you're viewing live or viewing at a later date, for coming in and seeing what different parties have to offer, because we need some different parties in this election. I mentioned before, right at the beginning, about how I want to make a promise to my children that they will be able to earn enough money to pay for the basics of their life. I think the reason that you're all here today is because you are looking for something different, something that can change the situation that we're in. It is not going to come from voting for Labour and National again. It has to come from the outside. I hope you've heard what I've said today and that you think that I'm talking some kind of sense. The Opportunities Party is going to be here. We're going to work with either side of the House to just lift the sanity waterline a little bit, make sure that they're doing things a little bit more sensibly and with a little bit more regard to the people of New Zealand. And I hope that you'll consider me for your vote on October 14th. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And Max.
Yeah, good stuff. Kia ora. And yeah, again, thank you for everyone tuning in on this. This is awesome. First and foremost, I think everyone should vote. I heard of a number there, 600,000 people out there that are not enrolled. Seems a lot, even in my head when I try and figure that out. But it's everyone should enroll so that they do vote, whether it's for one of us three or all of us three. But definitely enroll to vote. The second thing is, I mentioned earlier that with change, you need to make change. And so we represent that change and being able to hold our government to account. And, you know, we're done with the way we've been treated, the way we've been almost run over. And so with that, our party's going to hold this government to account. And when we get in there and we get in with your votes, is that you'll be able to see and trust that we stand for freedoms, and future, and for our families. So, party vote, Freedoms NZ.
Thank you so much. And finally, Quentin.
Well, first of all, a thank you to the team for creating and hosting this event this evening. It's really important that you, the voters, get to make an informed choice. And it's because your vote really matters. It determines the future path of this country. We can continue on a path that is degrading our environment, accepting inequality and poverty, tolerating poor housing, and patching up crumbling infrastructure. Or we can work towards a much fairer and cleaner Aotearoa New Zealand for today and for tomorrow. Only the Greens will create a fairer tax system and use the money to provide the support that everyone needs to put food on the table and a safe place to call home. Only the Greens will take bold action to protect nature. Only the Greens will tackle climate pollution and build resilient communities where we all have what we need to thrive. The time is now. Please party vote Green.
Thank you so much. And we've now come to the end of the evening. Look, there's been some amazing and really great narratives tonight. And as a quick summary, I think the really big issues that are facing and that our candidates have talked about is really about fairness. It's about the environment. It is about housing. It is about the cost of living. It is about safety, and it is about family. So I'm really excited for you on this journey. I think that it is great to have the opportunity to talk. And just think of 600,000 people who have not registered to vote. If each one of those 600,000 people registered and voted, you are able to change the landscape of our politics within this country. Whether you're giving your party vote to one party and then your vote for your candidate to another one, you still have a voice. There are people that have died for the right for you to vote. Today, this year, is 130 years that our wahine toa have had the opportunity to be able to vote in this country. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you so much to Sam and his team for producing this. It has been an absolute privilege to be here. So tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Kia ora.
Oh, we're going to be back here at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, people. Okay. So you've got, or you can go and get yourself some dinner now, can't you? You can go and get the kids washed. You can do all sorts of things. But thank you so much. Good night.
Bye.